Now, this has been met with criticism as the common phrase of two-tier justice and two-tier policing has been thrown about, because as we've seen in the UK over the last couple of months, you can get locked up for Facebook posts, but apparently throwing stuff at a politician is fine. Narinder, you're shaking your head. I'll come to you first.
I'm sick of the right wing saying, "Oh, a Facebook post. Oh God, you get locked up for that." It's not just a Facebook post.
It does happen.
We all. That's because it's breaking the law. If you put a tweet out there or a Facebook post and it's actually breaking law, then you will be locked up. If it's incited riots or violence, then you're going to be locked up. It's not that it's unfair; it's the law. So you can't keep putting out this false kind of narrative that, oh, all he did was a hurty words. It wasn't hurty words. Hurty words is lots of things, but it's not breaking the law. So if you broke the law, you're going to be in prison. You're going to get a sentence. Going to the Nigel Farage, I forget her name, the one who threw the milkshake. I think she avoided jail because she's got no previous convictions. I think the guy who threw something at Jeremy Corbyn, or was a woman, he got a prison sentence because he had previous convictions. So I think facts matter. And I think Lee would agree with me on that. Facts matter.
Yeah, so Victoria Thomas-Bowen was sentenced to 13 weeks in prison, suspended for 12 months. The facts of the matter, as you say, that she hurled the drink at the Reform politician as he left the Moon and Starfish Weatherspoons pub, that's a good name, on the 4th of June. She did plead guilty to assault by beating and criminal damage.
Eventually.
Well, I'll let you elaborate on that in a minute. Lee, I think it's really, really important that throwing milkshakes at politicians has sort of become this thing that you can do, and then you get a bunch of hits on TikTok, whatever. But frankly, you'd never accept that anywhere else in life, would you?
No, and I think with members of Parliament, especially considering what's happened, we've had MPs murdered in the past. I think that stuff like this just it makes my skin crawl. I do not like it at all. I think that we should actually be quite. I don't want to say too harsh, but I think we should be quite strict with our sentencing when it comes to attacking MPs physically. I think that is a big deal. To say that, just to bring up on Narinda's point about hurty words, we've got people. I don't think it's as. I agree with you, by the way, right? So there is, to a point, there is incitement to violence, and I would agree that if you're directly inciting violence, then there should be a punishment of some sort, without a doubt. I think most people would agree with that, even in a society where we supposedly have free speech. If you're directly threatening someone, or you're wishing harm on someone, or you're inciting violence, I think that crosses the threshold of having some form of punishment. The reason people are talking about it being two-tier and using the phrase hurty words is simply because of the severity of the sentencing. So if you look at some of these, right, there's one of my followers said, "Go get 'em, lads," right in the middle of the riots. Now, that is really stupid thing to say, very stupid, and he should, in my view, probably face some form of punishment. But he got 3 years in prison. 3 years. Now, in my view, maybe a couple of weeks in prison or a fine would have been sufficient for that. Going to prison is a very, very big deal. Even if it's for a couple of months, that would shock enough people, I think, who've said something in the heat of the moment on social media. One of these posts was deleted like 20 minutes later. It was a horrific post, very, very. I'm talking about the wife of the Tory councillor, and I'm so sorry for saying that, but I can't remember her name.
Don't worry. I think we all know the case.
Yeah, and she deleted her tweet. Her tweet was vile.
It was about the hotels. Yes, it was about burning the hotels, wasn't it?
No, Lucy Connolly.
You talked about people not having previous convictions. She didn't. Now, she's gone to prison for the best part, I think, for the best part of 2 years.
Okay, there's a difference, I'll tell you. The difference is when she threw the milkshake, it didn't cause racial terrorism up and down the country. And drivers of cars weren't racially profiled, police weren't attacked. She threw a milkshake and that was it. No one in the country started throwing milkshakes. She didn't tell anyone else to throw milkshakes. Lucy Connolly, whatever, if that's correct, if her name is that.
Lucy Connolly, yes, sorry.
Yes, sorry. She put up a post enticing others to burn down hotels. She deserves a prison sentence.
Yeah, and I don't think the two are comparable.
Maybe not, but we weren't talking about that.
Yeah, just to provide some middle ground on this. the problem is, this is all on the back of having this early release scheme where we are seeing, serious criminals by mistake being let out early onto the streets because we need to free up places in prison. And then the timing of it is that we get people put into prison straight away for, as Lee said, 11 characters. Go get them, lads.
No, that's not.
Well, that is.
There's a lot
Well, that's
more,
exactly what happened.
That's
Linda.
exactly what has
go
happened.
get them, lads, and they attacked our place. So
There's also, by the way, there's also in the court proceeding documents that took place. There's actually confirmed that there's no evidence at all that the some of these posts actually led to any violence at all.
You cannot have a country where people are on social media enticing violence, which leads to racial terrorism, where our police are attacked, shops are attacked, people are stealing, and black and brown people are beaten up. We can't have a situation like that. I think the way Starmer dealt with it...
Just black and brown people, Narinda, or white people as well?
No, black and white people were attacked in the racial violence.
I was going to say, yeah, it wasn't just black and brown. There were.
No, black and brown. What do you mean everyone was attacked? It was black and brown people.
We had the Muslim Defence League out, tooled up with weapons.
No.
What do you mean, no? It was all completely documented.
No. It was black and brown people up and down this country. The majority, 100%.
Narinda, they took over a pub. They beat the...
that was all debunked.
Oh, okay, so that incident's fine, is it? That incident's okay.
The pub landlady, she said...
Narinda, they were going around hunting people.
No, Listen, you can't leave.
Let her have a say, Lee.
You're going by one incident in Birmingham that actually was debunked.
It wasn't one incident.
It was one incident. I'm talking about the entire country. And the way Starmer dealt with it was absolutely brilliantly, because we cannot have a country where there's riots going on and people are being attacked. We can't be seen as that country. And it was dealt with brilliantly. And the sentences are completely correct. There's nothing wrong with those sentences.
Thanks, Narinda. Lee, final say, then we'll move on.
Just absolute nonsense. Keir Starmer basically spent the whole... he couldn't have dealt with it even any worse. You've just got to remember what happened, Narinda. 3 beautiful girls were murdered. And that was a flashpoint for a lot of people. Now, there were a lot of people out that day who genuinely were out to cause trouble. I fully accept that. But there are also a lot of people, a lot of Brits, who are deeply upset, deeply angry about what happened. And Keir Starmer didn't show any empathy at all. He stood up and immediately just stood up in front of the nation and just blamed everything on the far right, when it wasn't just the far right. And a lot of people were...
Hold on, Narinda. I let you have your say. Let Lee have his.
A lot of people were out protesting the day before those riots as well, who are perfectly, normal Brits with.
No, they weren't.
Hold on.
Yes, they were, because I was actually at one of those rallies myself, Narinda. And there were families and people who were peacefully protesting, who were deeply upset and hurt, who wanted the government to protect our kids. And these people were labelled as far right by Keir Starmer. Absolutely vile of him to do that. He couldn't have handled it worse. In fact, if anything, he made those riots worse. He showed zero. It's funny, isn't it, Narinda, how when we had the Black Lives Matter protests, riots, I should say, where lots of police were injured, and it was a big deal. Keir Starmer showed empathy. 24 hours after those riots, he got on the knee. He took the knee for Black Lives Matter. He showed empathy.
I'll bring you back in, Narinda.
He didn't do anything of the sort when it came to the riots that we saw in the summer.
You're lying, because Keir Starmer, from my recollection, I didn't know we were going to go talk about this, but he did go to Southport. Of course he showed sympathy. The whole of the country showed sympathy.
I'm talking about his speeches, Narinda.
No, he did. And he did his speech and he went to Southport and he was right. And this sort of protest that you said, was it not that very night the far right and these rioters and these thugs decided to descend on Southport and attack brown businesses? So you're absolutely spinning the narrative.
Just like the Muslim Defence League did.
Look, you're going to keep going on about that one incident as opposed
to I'm just trying to be fair and factual, Narinda.
That was far right.
I'm just trying to be fair and factual. It seems that you're only... You will not acknowledge at all that there was the Muslim Defence League out looking for trouble, tooled up.
That was one incident. I said
no, it wasn't.
And it was debunked. That's what I said.